So good morning. Today we're going to continue our discussion on multiple linear regression. So last time we loaded the these packages which we're going to use for our multiple linear regression. There are other packages, of course, that we can use, but for the moment we'll just use these packages: Psych, PaceText, OLSRR, which is used for stepwise regression, Stargazer for creating printable and good table format results, and then SchemR, which is also used for descriptive statistics. It's important, class, for us to know what are the capabilities of these packages. So don't just learn them by name, but find time to uh, study or research on their capabilities. Kasi mga packages, they're written by people with a specific need. Kunyari, itong OLSRR. This is a very powerful package that helps us do stepwise regression. And if you get to that point today, then you'll see how stepwise regression works, which I think you did not discuss in your previous subjects that dealt with multiple regression. Okay, so the data that we're using is this data, the wage data, which I provided to you. We can make use of the read.csv or read_csv, okay, data set, function. If you're using an Excel file, then it should be, you're not going to use a read.csv file, okay? You're going to use an XLSX file as a function, okay? So I've run this, but let me just rerun it. Okay, so here is our data set. Now, it gives us a spreadsheet like, it's a data frame, okay? And this is coming from the view wage function code, okay? So we have here, what are the variables here? Education, experience, tenure, race, gender, civ status, number of dependents, and hourly wage. So you have here some numerical variables and some character variables. There are 526 observations. 1 of 18 years means that the first 18 rows are shown. Okay. Another way to present your data is we can use the head wage. The head function will show us the first 6 rows of your observations, and it will be printed here in the script window. So here we can see these are the variables: education, experience, tenure, race, gender, civil status, number of dependents, and hourly wage. And it will show us the different types: integer, character, and integer double means quantitative. Okay. Or we can use the head wage, the tail. The tail will give us the last 6 there, 521 to 526. These are the last 6 observations. If you want, you can instead of 6 as a default, you can print out the first 10 observations. Here you can see that it printed the first 10 observations. I use head, and then I identify the number of rows, the 10. If here I use, let's say, 15 for the tail, then it will give us the last 15. Okay, it gives us the first 10 here, and then the next, the next 5. Okay, so these are just some of the ways to show your data so that you can see, at least you can study what the data consists of. All right. So there are other ways to have preliminary preliminary analysis or appreciation with data. It's important that we understand what the data we're using, that the data that we're using, its structure, the nature, the type. Okay, so last time we looked at the structure, and it summarizes the different variables that are contained in your data. It tells us what kind of data structure we have. It's a data frame, a data frame with 526 observations and 8 variables. And it defines to us the different types of variables. There are integers, characters, and we have here a numeric. Okay. Of course, integer and integer is also a numeric. However, it does not carry decimals. We can also check. We know that education is integer, but we can check that using the class function. Okay, we said last time that if you just type class and then education, this will not work. Okay, because R will not recognize what wage is. Wage is a variable. Okay, in the wage, education is a variable in the wage object. So this time this will work. Okay, if you recall, if you don't want to type wage here, if you want R to recognize immediately the variable education, what should we do? Remember that, class? Anyone? If I want this to work, this one, by not including the wage data, what should I do first? You recall that, class? Anyone? Yes, let's take a rain. You need to attach. Okay, so if I first run this attach wage, okay, so R will now recognize that any variable that you're referring to comes from the wage data set. Okay, so now I can run this class education and it will now work. See? Okay, so you do this, the attaching a particular data frame to your model. If you're only dealing with one, if you're dealing with one file or one object, okay. But if you're dealing with several objects, then it might not be a good idea. Except if you're using the wage data set first, and then in the next codes you're going to deal with another data set. In that case, pwede rin yun. Attach and detach lang. Kasi pag dinetach mo naman, ibig sabihin, hindi na siya ulit i-recognize. No? So let's detach again, detach, not again, detach wage. And then I'm going to run class education again. So it's now error again. It does not recognize education because naka-detach na yung natin, naka-detach na yung data frame natin, yung object natin. Okay? All right, pause muna ako. Any questions so far? Clear so far, guys? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Isaac. Clear so far? Paki-chat naman please kung clear yung gamit ng attach at detach. Okay, thank you. Salamat. Yeah, very good. I appreciate okay. I hope all the class will respond. Pero hindi pa lahat nagre-respond. But next time, guys, please. Sana lahat nagre-respond tayo. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you. Okay, sige, let's proceed, guys. No? So, we looked at the structure. Yung summary naman, this gives us the summary measures. Okay, see, this will only be meaningful actually for quantitative variables kasi mini-measure niya yung minimum value, yung percentile 25, percentile 50, or first quartile, second quartile, third quartile. Ito yung first quartile, ito yung second quartile, yung median, ito yung third quartile. Then it gives us also the minimum, maximum, and the mean, yung average. For character variables, it will just give us the count. Bilang lang. Kasi hindi ka naman tayo pwede mag-compute ng mean, median, mode sa isang character variable. Okay, so that's what the summary function gives us. So yung structure, iba naman siya. Okay, so sa exam nyo, ang first exam nyo will be a project on multiple linear regression. Siyempre, bago tayo mag-multiple linear regression, kailangan intindihin natin yung data, no? And one way to do that is do some descriptive statistics of the variables. So for example, ito, we used here the psych package, okay, and use the describe function. Oops. The describe function. Now, ano ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin lang nito na this describe function comes from the psych package. Do you need to do this? Hindi naman, no? Hindi naman. Ang use lang yan, if you're loading packages na, let's say, may package na may describe function din. Okay, kasi yung describe function, hindi lang hindi lang galing sa psych yan. There are maybe other packages that you're using that you installed that could have the describe function. So, kung hindi mo linagay kung psych yan, baka malito si R. Kaya sasabihin niya kung saan galing na-describe yung ginamit niya. So in order to avoid confusion, or perhaps also sa simula, para alam natin kung saan nanggagaling to, kasi importante din na alam natin kung saan package nang galing yung ginagamit natin na function. For example, yung describe nga, and alam natin na galing yan sa psych package, just for our information. Okay, if we run this, Control Enter, so it will give us some of the descriptive statistics. Okay, you have the variable, 8 yung variables natin. Ilan yung bilang niya? 526, ibig sabihin kompleto, walang kulang sa education and the rest. No? Ibig sabihin complete yung data natin. Kunyari, kung 525 to, ibig sabihin may missing. May kulang tayong isa dun sa education variable. Okay, and that's very important kasi minsan, pag nag-compute tayo ng descriptive statistics, tapos may kulang na isa, nag-e-error. So we need to address that. Okay? So how do we deal with missing values? We'll discuss that in the future. Gagawin natin dyan, we will do some imputation. Ano yung imputation? Papalitan natin yung missing value niya. And there are several ways to do that. No? Kunyari, let me just show yung wage. Kunyari, what if education here for respondent number 9 is missing? Either hindi nalagay or hindi nagbigay yung respondent. Kasi that happens. Huh? So may mga missing values tayo. So we will have to address missingness. Kasi pag may mga missing values, may mga functionalities na hindi niya i-compute yung kunyari yung mean, yung median, yung mode. So we will have to address that. Okay? The last thing that we should do is to remove that. Kasi baka importante yung data na yon, tapos baka error ng nagre-research, hindi lang niya nalagay. Okay, so there are several reasons why there are missing values. But there are ways to address that. And as I said, one of the most popular way is via, okay, so let me write that kasi baka hindi nakuha. Via what we call imputation, no? Okay? Pwede tayo mag-impute. Ano ibig sabihin ng impute? Kunyari ito missing to. Kunyari missing yan, no? So one way to impute is to compute for the median of all the non-missing values. So yung median, di ba yung gitna? So pwedeng palitan to ng median na lang kasi hindi natin alam. First, kailangan tingnan baka nakaligtaan ilagay. So if you were the one doing the research, tingnan nyo kung nakalimutan lang lagyan, tapos i-address nyo lagyan. Kung talagang missing, then pwede natin yung process ng imputation. And as I said, there are several ways to do that. Okay? All right. So, clear so far, class? Paki-chat please kung clear so far. Yung missingness na sinabi ko? Okay, good. Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yan. Okay, so let's, okay, thank you. All right, let's continue our discussion. Okay, so that's what we get from the describe package. No? Yung, let me just show that again. Andito yung variable, andito yung mga measures niya. You have the mean, the standard deviation, the median, the trimmed mean, median, the mean absolute deviation, minimum, maximum. Marami, no? Andyan si range, which is just the difference between the highest and the lowest value. Andito si skew, andito si kurtosis. So, class required na ano, review nyo to andito yung mga, yung first moment natin, ito yung measures ng central tendency, di ba? If you recall from your stat. Yung measures ng central tendency natin, how your data behaves. No? Central tendency, how they behave technically towards the center. So, andyan yung mean, median, yun yung mga first moment. Tapos yung second moment natin of central tendency, andyan si variance, no? Tsaka si standard deviation. Tapos yung third moment, si skew, and then the fourth moment, si kurtosis. So, 4 na moments yan. 4 moments of central tendency. So, review them kasi in your exams, you will have to use these figures and describe the data. Ano ibig sabihin itong negative 0.62 na to? Ano ibig sabihin if the kurtosis is 1.87? So, you'll have to discuss that. Then you have here your standard error. Okay? Hindi ko na siya i-discuss guys kasi this is more of basic stat yung subject na yun. No? Okay, so I leave you to that guys. Okay, another package, another function that we can use is stat.diskDesk. So paste text siya. Okay? So ito naman, iba yung format na dinagay, ano? Yung variable andi dito sa mga as a row dito, no? Or ang arrangement niya per column siya. Okay, so ganoon din, mini-measure yung number of values to kung ilan yung observations. Tapos ilan yung NA, kung ilan yung missing values. Ganoon din, minimum, maximum. Okay? And then, okay, meron din measure yung confidence interval ng mean. Tapos yung variance, standard deviation, and then the coefficient of the variance. Okay, so another way to present your descriptive statistics. Okay, then here, ginamit natin si Stargazer. Ano bang ginawa? Si Stargazer, wage, no? Okay. We use Stargazer to generate some descriptive statistics then. Okay. Andito yung mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum. Limited nga lang yung generate niya. But it presents your data in good form. Okay. As compared to the others, katulad ng scheme. Okay, so let's run this. This is also another form of descriptive statistics. Yan. So just like yung described kanina, the variables are in this column. Okay, nasa row yung arrangements ng variables natin. So it gives us the mga measures natin. And notice this scheme, automatically tinanggal na niya yung character variable. No? Tinanggal na niya yung character variable kasi hindi naman talaga masosolve yung hanggang count lang siya. Complete rate, ibig sabihin nito 100%. Okay, kompleto yung walang missing. No? Okay, so kinompute yung mean, yung standard deviation. Okay, this is the first quartile. Ay, P0, wait. A percentile 0, that's the minimum, di ba? Okay. Then this is the first quartile. Sorry, this is the minimum. This is the first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, maximum value. And nagpo-provide pa siya ng, ng histogram. Second quartile is the median. Okay. Tapos makikita pa natin distribution ng data dito by presenting this histogram of the data. Okay, so yun ang binibigay sa atin ni Scheme R. All right, I think we ended there. So let's continue our discussion. We can plot now our data. R is a very powerful software as far as plotting is concerned. Okay, you know how to plot. You have used that in Excel, and for some of you, Jamovi. But R really provides much more capability compared to these other softwares. Isa si R sa pinaka-powerful by virtue of the package called ggplot2. Okay, for now, let's just use the basic R plot. So dito, ipa-plot natin, ang gagawin natin dito, we're going to study si hourly wage. Ito yung dependent variable natin. We'd like to see what are the factors that affect the hourly wage. This is actual data, if I'm not mistaken, 1970s. 1970s tong data na to. So ito yung let me just see, guys. Wage data. Let me check if hindi. Sorry. Mali ba yan? I'm just checking something. Okay, hindi. Okay. All right. So this was a survey conducted in the 1970s. So this is actual data. 526. I think there were more, pero parang portion na lang to, no? If I'm not mistaken. Portion na lang to ng yung original na na survey. And pero 1970s pa to. So they were looking at the hourly wage of this individual, 11 years of education, 2 years of experience. Okay, so dito ang gusto natin malaman kung ma-predict natin yung hourly wage given these factors. So remember naalala nyo kung ano yung what's one of the assumptions of classical linear regression model? Number one is the linearity of the data. Okay, dapat linear yung relationship ng hourly wage at saka ng mga independent variable. Okay, so one of the way to check is to plot or to compute for the correlation. So sige, plot natin. So we have here this function, plot education. Okay, this will be on the x-axis. Yung unang variable na dinidefine natin, x-axis yan. Hourly wage on the y-axis. And then main is just the title of the plot. Scatter plot of education and hourly wage. So we'd like to see how hourly wage relates to education. Bakit? Kasi gusto natin malaman kung may strong correlation ba, a linear relationship si hourly wage at si education. Okay? Kasi kung hindi siya linear, then maybe including education might not really contribute to explaining hourly wage. But let's see first, if we run this, okay, tinan nyo, nag-error siya, no? Bakit siya nag-error? Kasi hindi na-recognize nga ni si education at si hourly wage. So we have to put here wage, okay? And here wage. Kailangan i-identify natin na galing siya sa wage. Or i-attach natin muna. Let's try that first. I-attach natin. So nakaraan naman si attach sa taas. I-run ko na lang to attach wage. Okay, naka-attach na si wage, di ba? Pag plinat na natin to ngayon, okay, let's see if R will understand yung education and hourly wage. Let's plot this. Yeah, there. Okay, na-plot na niya. Kasi naintindihan na niya kung saan galing si education and si hourly wage. All right, so we can see here, the dependent variable is ang practice nasa y-axis siya. Si independent variable nasa x-axis. And you can see here, medyo may konting linear relationship, no? Kaso nga lang habang lumalaki yung education, years of education, mas parang hindi nagiging apparent yung linear relationship. But there seems to be a bit of a linear relationship. Okay? Or the other one, okay, if I detach wage, so ibig sabihin nun, hindi na ulit ma-recognize to, then I will have to put wage, $sign, and wage, $sign. Okay? And let's plot this. There. Okay, so the same plot. Okay, let me pause for a while and then give you time to work on that. Okay, I know it's difficult to be listening and at the same time nagko-coding kayo. So let me give you some few seconds to work on that. And if you're done, guys, if you're okay, if clear na sa inyo yung pag-plot yung scatter plot between education and hourly wage, kindly please chat yes na. Kung okay na. Please chat yes, guys, kung clear na kayo, kung okay na. Okay, let's wait for the rest. 13 pa lang. About the rest, guys, sana maka 50% pa lang tayo. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, pero hindi pa rin tayo nakaka 100%. Okay, thank you. All right, so thank you so much for your responses. Although may kulang pa rin. The reason why I want to know is because I want to make sure that everybody is able to follow along. So kung may questions kayo, please do not be ashamed by asking questions. Okay, so let's just expand this a bit before we go to simple regression. Mag-insert lang tayo dito ng isa pang. Okay, Control Alt I, diba? To insert a code chunk. Copy natin to. Let's copy this. Okay, since most of you did not use R before, you can actually expand this a bit. No? Pwede natin lagyan dito ng, for example, ng X label. X lab is X label. Pwede natin lagay yung ano to, years of education. Yan. So that will give a label to your x-axis. Y lab naman, Y label is equal to hourly wage, diba? Hourly wage. Okay? And then we can add other elements. Yung plot function, marami ding ano yan, functionality siya. And then one of the things that we can do is define yung PCH, which is plot character. Okay? So PCH. Punta muna tayo dito sa ano. No? Let's go here. And PCH in R. Yan. Tingnan natin to. No? Plot character in R plot. I just want to show you this. Okay. Data node, diba? Dito na lang. Okay, hindi pinapakita dito eh. Dito na lang. Ginugol natin PCH plot character. Let's hanapin natin yung pinapakita yung different plot character types. Okay. Andito siya, no? Lab. Ayan, no? So ito yung mga different plot character. 0 pag square. Ayan, no? Ang 8 asterisk, etc. Isa sa popular na ginagamit, 19 or 20. Ito. Circle with black dots. So 19 or 20 mas maliit. Let's try that. So let's put here plot character is equal to 19. Okay. Plot character is equal to 19. Okay na yan. Tingnan natin, ha? Let's see what happens. All right. We can see here that our plot changed. Gawin natin tong 20. Para malaki masyado yung 19. Okay. Mas maliit yung ano. Kita natin na medyo may concentration ng data dito. Okay. All right. So that's just a basic way to refine. And dyan na, di ba, yung dito na yung sa y-axis yung hourly wage. And dito na sa x-axis yung years of education. Okay, so just to share with you some very basic lang ng formatting ng plot. Of course, ito guys, yung plotting, this becomes really really more profound when you use ggplot2. Okay, so I'd like to encourage you on your own to study ggplot2, the package. Ang dami naman tutorials din ng ggplot2. Okay, so we'll now be doing some linear regression. Okay, so first let's check ano ba yung LM function. And saan galing ang LM function? Okay, so LM function comes from the stats package, which you don't need anymore to install or to require kasi when you load R, kasama na siya. No? It's already preloaded, so no need to install the package or to require it. So notice na dun sa mga linoad natin ng mga packages, wala naman tayong node na stats package, di ba? Kasi again, automatically na preloaded na siya. Alright, so LM function, what does it do? It's used to fit linear models, including multivariate ones. It can be used to carry out regression, simple stratum analysis of variance, analysis of covariance. Okay? So ito yung syntax niya. LM, formula, data, kung may subset, weights, etc. So maraming parameters sa pwedeng isama. No? Okay, so dito yung description niya. Okay, ano yung formula? An object of class, a symbolic description of the model to be fitted. Okay, and then ano yung data, kung may subset man, etc. Okay, so these are the different parameters. Tapos sa ilalim, tingnan natin kung may example dito. Yan, may mga example, ano? Yeah. You can actually copy this. Copy this to your R. Okay. Tapos i-run nyo. Tingnan nyo kung ano yung ano. Andito kasi LM. LM. Okay, but we will not do that. But I would encourage you to look at this. Okay. So maganda yung mga maganda yung tutorials ni R. Kompleto din siya. Okay, so for our purposes, okay, wag na natin i-attach lang si wag na natin i-attach si wage. Okay. So we will now do a model on LM. Okay, so ang gagawin natin yung simula before we do that, okay, kasi tingnan muna natin yung relationship ni relationship between si education and hourly wage. Okay. So tingnan muna natin. So let's insert. Kasi gusto natin malaman kung may linear correlation ni variable natin, independent variable natin, education and hourly wage, no? So sige, let's get the correlation ng wage, education and wage ng hourly wage. Okay. Again, guys, if you want, pwede naman natin i-attach para hindi natin isasama si wage, no? Sometimes kasi parang nagiging repetitive siya. So the correlation is 0.405 or 0.4. So medyo nasa nasa middle lang. Middle lang. Ang kinuha lang natin si education, di ba? What if insert another one? What if we get the correlation of all the variables? So correlation, kunin natin yung data natin, si wage. What happens? Okay, anyone? Bakit ba't nag-error siya? We were trying to get the correlation of the whole data set. Kukunin yung correlation ng lahat ng mga variables doon. Kasi una, tinignan lang natin si education at saka si hourly wage. But let's get the correlation of the other variables to themselves. Okay, nag-error siya. Bakit? Kasi meron tayong variables na anyone please? Yes, may character variable kasi tayo. No? So if we take a look at our wage, no? So tatlo dito character, race, gender, civil status. Hindi naman pwedeng kunin yung mga correlation nito kasi character variables to . So among the 8 variables, see what first, second, third, seventh, and eighth, pwedeng kunin yung correlation nila. Pero si variable number 4, 5, and 6, hindi siya pwedeng kunin yung correlation kasi character siya. Therefore, what we can do is to subset. I-subset natin si wage such that mawawala yung ano, no? Mawawala yung columns 4, 5, 6. So how do you subset? To subset an object, wage, di ba ang ginagamit natin si brackets. No? So let's put brackets. So ang gagawin natin, kunin natin correlation ni wage. Okay? Pag nag-bracket tayo, yung una will be the row number. Okay? So anong row number ang gusto nating isama sa correlation? Lahat. Wala naman tayong issue sa row number. Di ba? So it's not the rows that we're going to subset. It's the column. Column 4, 5, 6. Dapat matanggal yung column 4, 5, 6. So sa row natin, wala tayong isa-subset doon. Kaya empty to, is comma. Ibig sabihin, lahat kasama. And then, tatanggalin natin si 4 to 6. So dapat i-combine natin C. And then, what do we do? Okay. Gawin natin negative C. And then 4 up to 6. There. Okay? So what happens here? Kinukuha natin yung correlation ng wage na object, pero sinasubset natin. No? Isama natin lahat ng rows, pero tanggalin natin si columns 4 to 6. Okay? So, i-close natin tong correlation natin. So this will work now. Yan. Right? So you can see here. Okay, let's see kung i-round nga natin round. Tignan natin kung pwede to round 3 decimal places. Okay, I placed here round in order to round off the decimal places kasi ang haba, hindi naman natin kailangan yung ganun ka-accurate, no? Okay, nag-work siya. So 3 decimal places lang. So notice yung correlation matrix natin dito, the diagonals are all 1. Why are the diagonals 1? Kindly chat, please. Why are the diagonals 1? Ito sa correlation matrix natin. Okay, let's see. Yes, correct. Thank you, Jaime. That's correct. No? Very good. So, yung correlation, the variable education with education is of course 1. Kasi you're getting the correlation of the variable with itself. Kaya yung diagonals niya 1. Now, we're interested in the correlation of hourly wage with the independent variables. No? So, hourly wage with education is 0.41. Hourly wage with experience is 0.11. Tapos meron pa negative dito. Si number of dependents is negative 0.05. Okay, so you can see here that among all these variables, si education ang pinakamataas na na pinakamataas na a correlation with hourly wage. That's why uunahin natin siya kasi una magsi-simple linear regression muna tayo. We'll just choose one variable and see its relationship with hourly wage. So here, education seems to be the best, the most logical predictor natin, no? Na gagamitin natin. Kung isa lang, kung simple linear regression lang. Okay? So far clear tayo doon, class? Clear so far? Paki-chat please. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so let's now go on to our regression. i-regress na natin. Ngayon, i-regress natin si hourly wage on education. All right. So how do we do that? Gagamitin natin si LM function, which we saw a while ago. Si LM, this is used for linear regression. Okay, so gagawa tayo ng object o model na object yun. Let's call it mod1. You can name it any way you want. Alt minus for your assignment operator. So we're creating this object called mod1, and then gagamitin natin si LM. Okay? So if you recall yung syntax dito ng LM, diba? Dito siya. Yan, di ba? Formula, data, tapos yung the rest, no? Okay, so ang formula natin is hourly wage. Okay? Ang regress dito is tilde. The one on top of the backtick mark, nasa upper left nyo. So that's the symbol for regress. Yung formula natin, hourly wage is regress on education. Okay? And then i-define natin si data is equal to wage. So no need to put here wage, dollar hourly wage, and wage dollar education. Kasi we defined the data naman. Let me just comment here. This is your simple linear regression. Okay, why is it called simple? Because we only have one predictor, sa education lang. And take note, hourly wage is a continuous variable. So pwede ito. Pwede natin gawin as dependent variable of a linear regression si hourly wage kasi ano siya? Kasi continuous variable. Okay? So if we run this, okay, anong mangyayari? Pag rinan natin, hindi i-generate yung results. No? But there is now this object called mod1. Okay, take a look at your objects, guys. Pasensya na magkaiba tayong models. Ano, no? Linisin ko lang to, ha? Ay, ako. Sorry, mali. Ano ko pala lahat. Ay. Sorry. Na-sweep ko lahat. Yung sweep nga pala, hindi pala clear yun. Delete yun, no? Pasensya na kayo. So, ingat kayo dito, ha? Sa broom na to. Kalimutan ko na ang broom is to sweep, no? Hindi siya to clear lang yung ano. Okay, so let me just quickly ipasok ko ulit sa wage. Okay, yan si wage. So, punta na ako dito. Pwede na tayo mag-edit dito. Okay. So, we're going to regress hourly wage on education. There. Okay, andito na si mod 1. So, it's a list. If you recall, if you view the data structure, ang list, guys, is a collection of several data types, no? So, pwedeng vector yan. Okay, iba-iba yung pwede laman ni list. So, take a look at this one. Si mod 1, meron siyang coefficients, may vectors siya dito, may residuals, may effects. So, ito na class yung output natin. So, marami siyang laman, no? If I take a look at coefficients, there. Oh, ayan, no? Ito yung intercept natin at saka ito yung slope ng education. Andyan din si residuals. And we'll discuss this as we go along. Yung residuals, yung mga error terms natin. Okay, so the mod 1 object contains many elements. Maraming laman yan, which we're going to explore. Sorry, PLM pala yan. Alright, so how do we print the result of the mod 1 of our model, regression model natin? We can use the summary function. So si summary, mod 1, okay? Enter natin. There you go. This is now the result of our first linear regression model. Okay? So ito yung pareho dun sa sa model na output na nakita nyo sa Excel at saka sa Jamovie. Ito siya sa R. Of course, we can later on show this in a better format using Stargazer. Pero tingnan muna natin. Very quickly, i-review lang natin ano ibig sabihin nito. So, rinewrite lang ni R kung ano yung formula na ginamit natin. Sabi niya, nag-LM tayo. Ang formula natin, hourly wage, is regression education using the data, the wage data. Tama naman siya. No? So, and then it prints the summary of the residuals. Okay? Ang minimum value, negative 5.34, ang maximum 16.6. So, medyo skewed yung ano natin, no? Skewed yung residuals natin. We want the residuals to be as much as possible normally distributed. Pero ito mukhang hindi siya normal distributed. And then we have here the coefficients. Okay? We have here the estimate. Ito yung intercept natin, negative 0.9 yung value. We have the standard error. We have the p-value, negative 1.32. And then the p-value, 0.187. Sorry. And then we have here the variable natin, education. 0.54. I think I have to take water muna. And then we have the p-value, and it's statistically significant. No? Ano ibig sabihin ng 3 stars dito? Okay, pag sa R, guys, ang 3 stars, ibig sabihin yan, significant at 0.001, which means that your p-value is less than 0.001. Pag 2 stars, significant at 0.01 or 1%. Okay? Which means that your p-value is less than 0.01. Pag 1 star lang, ito yung standard natin. Okay, 0.05. So if you see here 1 star, it means that your p-value is less than 0.05 but more than 0.01. Kunyari, 0.03. 0.03 yung p-value natin. Then we expect this to be 1 star. Kasi less than 0.05 siya, pero greater than 0.01. Okay? And then pag dot ang makita natin, dot, and that means it's significant at the 10% confidence level. Okay? Pag wala yun, not significant yun. So in this case, si intercept is not significant. Okay? Si education is significant at 0.001. Okay, so how do we write the model? Okay, so based on this simple linear regression, kaya na natin isulat yung model natin. Ano yung model natin? So very quickly, we can write our model to be, okay, so hourly wage, no? So shortcut ko na lang kasi hindi akong sulat sa mouse. Hourly wage is equal to, ba? Dapat yung beta null natin plus beta 1 times education plus our error term. Okay? So ito yung simple linear regression model natin. Hourly wage sub I is equal to, our beta null is this one. Negative, shortcut ko na lang 0.90. Okay? Plus, what's our beta 1? 0.54. 0.54 times education. Okay? Plus error term. Ibig sabihin yung predicted value natin, if we're going to write this as yung predicted value, yung value mismo, predicted value, may hat dyan, tatanggalin natin to. Kasi the predicted value will really compute this. Okay? Kaya naman linalagyan natin ng error term kasi it signifies the difference between your actual value and your predicted value. Okay? So, pag ang kinompute na natin yung predicted value, mawawala na tong epsilon na to. Kasi computed value na yan. So that's the that's the model, ng simple linear regression model natin. How do we interpret this? Okay, the intercept. Okay, what does the intercept mean? Anyone, please? What's the meaning of negative 9.9? And do we include that kahit na hindi siya statistically significant? The answer is yes. Yung intercept, even if it's not significant, it's still used as for predictive purposes. No? Sinasama pa rin natin siya sa model. Pero yung independent variables natin, pag hindi significant, hindi siya sinasama. In this case, education is significant. At significant at 0.001, kasi 3 stars yun. And what's the meaning of that? So we have to interpret the 0.454. It means that for every 1 year increase in education, there's a corresponding 0.54 cents increase, or 54 cents, no? $0.54 or 54 cents increase in hourly wage. Okay, so that's the interpretation of that. For every 1 year increase in education, bakit years? Kasi ang dimension ng education is years. So kailangan alam natin dimension ng mga independent variables natin. For every 1 year increase in education, there's a corresponding 0.54 or $0.54 or 54 cents increase in hourly wage. Okay, what's the interpretation of the intercept? Ano yung ibig sabihin ng intercept, please? Guys, I'm going through this quickly kasi review na lang to, no? Marami na kayong subject na nag-discuss ng regression. Focus tayo dun sa mga mas mga hindi nyo diniscuss. So what's the meaning of negative 0.9, yung intercept natin? Anyone, please? What could you recall? Okay. Any volunteer? So, ang ibig sabihin nun, yes. Okay, thank you. All right, Jaime. Jaime, could you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Sorry,
Okay, paki-explain nga.
not sure lang, pero kasi ang pag-endure ko sa intercept, it's when...
Parang hina ng volume. Okay. Sa akin ba yun? Could you speak a bit louder? Sorry.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, okay na, better.
Okay. So, from what I understand, intercept is what you get when yung education mo is at 0. So it's the value of wage when education is 0.
Okay, thank you. That's correct. Huh? Yeah, thank you. So the intercept tells us this is the value of your dependent variable. Ang dependent variable natin si hourly wage. Okay, when all your parameters, when all your independent variables are 0. In this case, isa lang naman yung independent variable natin. So ibig sabihin nito, so si education daw, si hourly wage is negative 0.9 if there is no years of education. In other words, walang pinag-aralan yung tao, ang hourly wage siya, negative 0.90. Okay, we cannot interpret that pragmatically, no? Walang interpretation yon. Kasi, kasi hindi naman pwede maging negative 9 yung hourly wage. Ang ibig sabihin ba nun, yung tao pa magbabayad din sa company? Diba? It doesn't make sense. Okay? Also, it's, okay, si education, ano ba yung minimum ni education? Tingnan natin, ha? What is the minimum education? Let me see here sa summary. The summary ng wage. Education, mayroon namang 0. Ibig sabihin, yung 0 education is in the is in the relevant range kasi may mga 0 education. Okay? So kasi kung pwede rin kasi na ang minimum education kunyari 5 years. Okay, 5 years. Tapos, i-interpret natin yung si education, si years. Ibig sabihin nun, wala siya dun sa relevant range. Okay, so this is just a repeat review, guys, of what you have been learning so far in the past. So we do not really put much interpretation to this, to the intercept, and besides, it's insignificant, 0.187. But nevertheless, we still put this in our model, the intercept. Okay, so let's take a look. Take a look at the rest of the output here. Okay, so you have here a standard error at 3.378 on a 524 degrees of freedom. Okay, multiple R squared is 0.1648, adjusted R squared is 0.1632. Okay, we'll discuss this when we go to the next one, multiple linear regression. Suffice it to say that 16.32% means that the variation of your dependent variable hourly wage, kasi yun ang gusto nating i-explain, yung variability niya, no? The variation of your independent variable hourly wage, 16%, 16.32% of the variability of your dependent variable hourly wage can be explained by your model, in particular by education. Kasi isa lang naman siya. So 16.32% lang ang kayang i-explain ni education. Paano yung iba? Well, other factors yun. Okay? So, si education, ang kaya niya explain lang 16.32% of the variability of your independent variable hourly wage. Okay? And then we have here the F stat. This is the okay, this is the overall goodness of fit test. Ano sinasabi na to? Okay, overall, our model daw is able to explain hourly wage. How did I know that? P-value. Okay, p-value. P-value is less than 0.05. No? Okay, so we won't really put too much emphasis on simple linear regression kasi hindi siya practical, no? At saka ang daming variables natin na titinan. So anyway, at least I just use this as a springboard to understand what the LM function of R is. Insert pa tayo, names. So let's identify yung model 1 natin, di ba? Ito yung linear model natin, regression model natin. Ano ba laman ng mga yan? Okay? So ito guys, ito, names. Model 1, andyan yung coefficient, residuals, effects, etc. So, di ba pinakita ko sa inyo ito kanina, yung list. So maraming laman si model 1. Okay, so let's take a look at see. So we can even mod 1 and then dollar sign. Tingnan nyo, no? Si model 1, ito yung mga laman niya. Yan. Diba? And we can access, for example, coefficients. If you run this, diba? Bibigay niya. Ito yung si intercept at saka si education. Ibigyan pa natin, mod 1. Ano pa ba? Residuals. Tingnan natin, ha? Residuals. Ano itong mga residuals? Hindi, simulan mo natin sa fitted values. Okay, let's take a look at fitted values. Okay. So medyo marami, no? Ilan to? 526 lahat yan. Ano yung mga fitted values, guys? What are the fitted values? I-round nga natin, tingnan natin kung mag-work to. Round lang natin sa 3 decimal places. Okay, yan. 3 decimal places. Okay, ano yung fitted values? Class? Ano yung fitted values? The fitted values are your predicted values. So how do you compute that? Okay, copy natin ito muna. Ay, ito na lang. Mod 1. Yung coefficients. No? Okay, ito siya, di ba? I'll copy this. Control C, Control V. All right, let's compute for the fitted value or predicted value. Okay, so let's take a look at wage 1. Sa wage data. Respondent 1 has 11 years of education. Okay, so if I'm going to use the model, the intercept plus the slope times 11, diba? Ita times ko siya ng 11 kasi yung unang respondent, 11 years, right? And if we run that, the fitted value is 5.05. So check nga natin. Let me check. Asa yung fitted value natin? Fitted value is 5.05. Ito yun. Diba? Ito yun. This one. So that's the fitted value of the first observation. So expand natin. What's the next fitted value? So the fitted value is the predicted value. Okay? Ginagamit natin yung model and the inputs here to determine yung predicted value. So the second one is 12. So 12 to. Therefore, ang fitted value niya is 5.91. Okay? Let's take a look at the value dun saan natin. 5.591. Diba? Yun. Okay? So just be aware, yung fitted value, that's the predicted value. Yun yung ginamit natin yung model, tapos in-input natin yung value ng exact value ng mga ng independent variable, in this case education, to get the predicted value. Okay? Now let's compare. So ito yung predicted value natin sa unang respondent, di ba? Okay? But what's the actual value of the hourly wage? 3.10. Okay? So the actual value is 3.10. I-minus natin yung predicted value natin na this one. Control C, Control V. Okay? What am I doing, class? I'm comparing now the actual value, 3.10, with the predicted value, 5.05. So what's the answer there? Negative 1.99. Anong tawag dito? That's called your residual. Residual yan. Yan yung error term. Okay? That's the difference between yung actual value natin at saka yung predict natin. Okay? Clear, class? Clear ba? Clear? Hello? Thank you. How about the rest, guys? Okay. Okay, good. Now, sabi natin, ang residual natin sa first observation, negative 0.195. Tingnan nga natin, guys. Tingnan natin dito sa model natin. Diba? Ito, yan. Here, guys. Here. Tingnan nyo ito, residuals. Okay? Ito yung fitted value. So, if I click this, 5.051. Yun, diba? 5.91495. Yun. Okay? And then the residuals, ano yung unang residual natin? Negative 1.95. This one. Okay? Ano yung pangalawang residual natin? Tingnan natin. Si wage, sa pangalawang observation, this one, 3.24. Ito yung actual niya. Control C, Control V. 3.24 minus, ano yung predicted value niya? 5.59146. Ba? Copy ko to. Yan. So I'm getting now the difference between ano yung actual value, the respondent number 2, 3.24. Ano yung predicted value natin kay respondent number 2, 5.9146. Ang difference niya, negative 2.35. No? Tingnan natin yung dito, yung residual niya. Negative 2.35. Yan. Okay? Diba? So that's how these values are generated, no? Okay, so I wanted to start with multiple linear regression, pero sabi ko kakapusin tayo sa oras, so mas magandang tininan na lang natin yung mga laman ng regression output natin sa sa R, no? Okay, and maybe just okay, just this last one, meron pa tayo a few more minutes. I-plot nga ulit natin guys tong si ano. Copyhin ulit natin tong plot natin dito sa ito, no? Let's copy this plot. Copy natin. Copy yung plot natin doon. Tapos, dadagdagan natin to, magle-layer tayo. No? Okay? We can use the function AB line. AB line. Okay. All right. Tingnan nyo to. What's AB line? Add straight lines to a plot. All right? So sabi dito, mag-a-add tayo ng straight line sa plot natin. So anong i-AB line natin? Diba, ipapa-AB line natin yung galing sa LM natin. LM, hourly wage on education. Diba? Pwede natin lagyan ng color. Equal to, sige, gawin natin blue. At my codes. Alright, ang gagawin dito, ipa-plot ni R yung ano, yung model natin, yung negative 0.9 plus something times education. That will be a line. Kaya ang linear regression to eh. I-plot natin to. Okay, ano nangyari? Hourly wage. Ay, sorry. Hindi tayo nag-attach. Ay, wait na. Okay. There, guys. All right. So it's already time, guys. Ano ko lang to, i-wrap up ko lang to. So this is our regression line. So you can see here the actual points. You can see here are, yung line na to, andiyan yung mga predicted values natin. Okay? So that's our, yung hat natin, no? HR wage hat. Tapos ito yung actual natin. And the distance between this one and this line, sa blue line, is your residual. Okay? We'll draw a line next time here. Papakita natin yung mga residuals natin. All right? Okay, so let's end there, guys. So next meeting, we're going to, let me stop recording first.